What's your sign? What's your sign, baby? What's your sign? What's your sign?
Welcome to What's Your Sign? I'm Julia Loken.
I'm Stevie Goldstein.
And I'm the zit of this podcast.
Hell yeah.
Oh, you gotta, that's a patch, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one too.
But you know what? I couldn't find any more. They were like completely sold out so many places. The patches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at the point where I'm like, this can't be good somehow. Like if everybody like needs them that much, is it like contributing to ocean plastics, or what is the like downside of these patches?
I mean, the answer is probably yes to the ocean plastics, because I assume that's like every product is now going to end up in the Pacific garbage island patch. But the patches are quite small. I think if they were, I can't imagine they're biodegradable, because then like they would just degrade on your face. But I don't know. It's like the question of like, dating apps are designed to never be deleted. So is it the same with the patches? Like, are they like, you get more pimples when you put these patches on?
That's what I'm saying. Is there
I
a
do think they
downside?
work.
I do too.
I like the Starface ones. I just bought, because I like, it was before I was heading out for a trip. I went to CVS and got like whatever brand they had. They were so expensive, but I needed them so badly. So I did cough up the bucks. But Starface was really cheap. But I think there's hyaluronic acid. For me, it's just I touch it and pick it, and it's just that's really, I could actually just put any sticker, I guess, on there. It doesn't even have to be the
same
preventative.
Well, the thing about the stickers that's good is the size, because before this is something that I used to do pre the patches, is just get hydrocolloid bandages. But normally you have to get like huge ones or whatever that are like a huge swath that you put on that are not cute, that you can't keep on all day, or like even just kind of keep to more or less the spot itself. But I think that they do work. I use like a topical prescription subscription program, and they have now added the stickers to their offerings too, and this is like a specifically like acne based company, or like for acne stuff. So I do think it works. To me, what I heard when you said they're all sold out is that everybody's breaking out right now.
Well, sure. I just wonder, like, I think the small is not a good thing for as far as waste goes. Like, I know that's the issue with plastic straws, is that they're too small for the grates to catch them, and so they like fall into drains and things like that a lot faster. Same with like it being small. Same with like the micro beads that you have, and like they always say like don't use those, they're really bad for the environment if you have them in your soap, because they like nothing can catch it, and it just ends up in the ocean, and like you can't even, a fish can't tell what the thing is, right? Especially clear plastic ones. But I also wonder, because like you said, Stevie, like same thing with me, where I'm like, they're out of everything except for like one that's like, 8 patches for $15
it was
or whatever.
too much. Yeah,
but it's like I'll do it. Like I'm that addicted to them. So I'm like, I don't know. It's weird, because I do think like it's in that good skincare wise. I just wonder, it must be so popular right now.
Okay, I do think, because I'm sure that they are still plastic waste going in the ocean.
If they're plastic. Wouldn't a Band-Aid be the same thing?
Well, that's what I mean, where I'm like, I do think it is like a different material. And I also think that because they are like, I notice them sticking to my trash can, sticking to other trash. And so not saying that doesn't still end up somewhere, but I don't think that they're as separate and solid as like plastic straw, micro bead that is going either directly into the drain, or plastic straws, again, that are not breaking down at all. I do think these guys are like, at the very least, net neutral in the trash.
I'm sticking it to stuff I like to put in the trash, because I've had the same problem where I'm like, oh, I'll like put it away, and then I'm like, oh, it's stuck on my cart like seat somehow. Like, how did it was in my purse? Like,
yes.
So
I think that's more like not haunted, but it's that where it's like you'll leave a trail everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Less on here on Earth, here in your own stuff. The same way like an Apple sticker is like never thrown away, always on you.
Yeah, there's still one of my like star pimple patches on my laundry machine because I just like stuck it there one day and was like, man, I don't feel like tossing it. It takes 1,000 years for a Band-Aid to decompose.
Biodegradable. Wow. Okay.
I'm guessing they're in the same family, but also the packaging. I think what's going for it is the smallness. Especially, sorry to quote back to Japan, the lack of packaging was like absolutely remarkable. We must be doing this. And I think like getting a pair of headphones and how much comes in to store one whole product that doesn't need all that. I feel like the patches are as little as they need to be packaged in. So I think that's also like part of the right. Like it's like the greenwashing, like we're going to be carbon neutral by 2050. It's like, what does that like? So you just won't be total waster. So I don't know. Well, I'm curious what I keep calling them Band-Aids now, the pimple patches, what they say. I'm curious if like Starface and them or the bigger brands have addressed this. Where do they go?
One of the things I think too, and obviously our topic today is why I brought up zits, because I feel like it's so Mars to have like this
Breakouts.
fucking aggressive red thing on your face that like it's the only thing you can focus on, and that you want to like pop and cut.
Totally.
But one thing that I think in conversation about the green packaging and stuff is, I think, because I just did an order from Sphere and Sundry, which I don't know if you guys are familiar listeners, but it's Austin Kopic and his wife Caitlin's like spiritual product store. And they have a lot of things that, and I never really thought of spiritual products as a waste, because I always think of like makeup bottles and whatever, where you're like going through them, they don't really have like reusable, here come refillable like face creams or whatever, like primer or concealer or any of those things. But I was thinking about how many like spiritual objects is like, okay, candles, a lot of them come in glass, we can reuse those at least, but a lot of the like bath salts, incense, all of those things, and on Sphere and Sundry they have really refillable packaging and stuff that's like reusable, and nothing that I've received has come in plastic, I don't think. So I feel like it is like this kind of mindfulness that I really appreciate. And now it's making me think about like the other stores I go to and like which candles I buy and what kind of things, like how much waste is there. I don't know. Thoughts on spiritual waste?
100.
Yeah, I mean, I think whether it's spiritual or purely capitalistic, it's just like it's all waste. Like I think like the way the waste comes, it's just I would hope if you have a spiritual practice, the goal would be to minimize packaging or whatnot. I'm just ready for refill stores to be everywhere. I do think that's the future. Too. I think people will want to leave their houses more as we leave our houses less. Still, like we still have like a big remote work culture. We still have way more a growing urge towards flexibility. And yeah, I'm like I've seen them here and there, but I feel like I would love to go refill my beans and soaps and that. So I can't remember the exact question, but yeah, I think if something is less wasteful, I would like that. And I hope spiritual places.
Yeah. Do you find that like the spiritual stores or places that you go to have those things yet? Or is that emerging? Is it something you would like want more of? Are there certain objects where you're like, ooh, I wish this could be refilled?
I guess I just get like plain color candle, like raw, like out of the, it's like on a wooden shelf and you like pick them out, or like incense is always like, I could burn that box like if I like wanted to. So I don't know if I get anything that's like everything like it's almost like as close to a refill store there, besides like maybe incense that comes in a box. But like for me, I'm getting candles out there's no
those
packaging. There's
candles,
maybe like
if I'm thinking of the paper wrapper, but those come wrapped in plastic that they take off at the store. So yeah, so it is like a thing because I've ordered them online, and it's like a thing to protect the scent. And I'm like, we don't need that. Like, take that off.
Just bring in the cactus replacement of plastic. I feel like we're just so close to plastic was invented to serve a purpose. It makes sense. It's needed in so many cases, in so many medical supply. Like, plastic will never go away. But like for the things like candles, is there not something else we can wrap
it in more paper?
Yeah. I think I would love refill stations of anything. Makeup is one that I was thinking of too. I know this is not in the spiritual realm, but it's a thing that I feel like I think about often because I think it is something that has become more commonplace for people to be using on a daily basis in huge quantities, and also in ways where it would be like it's creative expression. It's something that people have like become accustomed to, but it also is like, this is a huge place where we're spending money and resources and waste and packaging. And part of the stuff is that it has to be like new and all of that. I've noticed in the spiritual sense, I feel like I don't frequent as much because I am a little bit of a like, I don't know. I feel like what I get most is crystals at these places. And so it is just like, the tissue paper maybe, but usually it's just in that kind of like sheer bag, and I save those for gifting and also find that those are usually pretty useful or pretty like, I don't know what are you gonna do with the bag, but I do think there should be some kind of like, we've talked about this with other things, why we aren't having like more rewards sorts of things and kind of community building through these places where you would come refill, where you could come also do these. And I know that would require people to have to be able to afford brick and mortar locations, and so many things are just not affordable for people to have a place where you could come do those sorts of things where you aren't buying something sight unseen and contributing to that. But I also think that like it's such a cycle, because in order to get people to be using your product, one of the things that you have to kind of pull someone in is, oh, when this arrives, it's a gift. It's this, look how much care and detail they put into the packaging, and a lot of sustainable stuff, while absolutely appreciated and all of that, just doesn't have the same like wow factor to it for people. They're not sharing their like, water spotted, water stained reusable glass containers that end up looking funky and all of these kinds of things. They want the like fresh, cute stuff. So I think it's also about like the purpose of like what motivates us, not only to like get products themselves, but also how we're using them, or how we're using anything that we're doing.
Well, I'll shout out 2 more locations that these are in LA, but that do. One of them is Liberate, another like spiritual shop, and they do a refillable bath salt. It's like you buy the jar, and then when you're out, you can come refill it. Obviously, you pay for the refills. And also Irwan, all of their glass jars are deposit based. So say you buy like a soup, it's it's going to be expensive. It's going to be $15. A lot of the bottle deposits are in the $2 to $3 range, so you can actually bring the jar back and get $3 back. So they take them, wash them, and reuse them. So it is, I think that is like a more sustainable way. Can I afford to shop there for all my groceries? Absolutely not. But it is nice to know that I have, $15 of Irwan in my cabinets, and I can go buy a smoothie or something after,
Millennials and young people don't have 401ks. They have Erewhon bottle waiting, to cash in for retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also like just once it becomes the cheaper option for people, that's when it will be in full. If plastic's cheap and lightweight, and like, I'm always just shocked when I see styrofoam. That is like an evil choice of just bulk and disgust, where I'm like, oh my God, this to go and I thought we banned this years ago. This
isn't paper cheap? And bamboo.
Like, it's just the honey. We're still driving on gas. We're still driving on gas. Like, you know, it will come. I think Pluto and Aquarius. Fingers fucking crossed that, like, good Lord, if you bring us anything, just bring us these updates. Like, I think LA, of course, we're blessed in California. It's like, oh yeah, getting my plate as like a corn husk. I'm like, sick. Like, use this. Beautiful, artisanal, and also biodegradable. So,
and in the opposite way, one of my other favorite places, Goop Kitchen.
Oh,
their plastic use is like unreal, like
off the charts.
You can even see, I think she did some interview about how they carefully design their packaging so that, like, you know, you could keep your sauces separate from your salads or whatever. But it's like, yeah, because you have like 6 more plastic things in there. So, I mean, is it gorgeous? And do I like that it's all like neat and orderly when it's delivered? Yeah, I do. But
look, Gwyneth said she's trying to sell Goop. This might have happened by the time we recorded, but she wants to disappear. She's saying she wants to sell Goop and fall off, which, hey, like, again, it's all part of like the cash grabs. And I think, I don't know, there was I can't remember what years it was, but I feel like there was such a push of like, I can fit all my trash into one thing, and like that, like that
your jar of trash
for the year, and like the like self. And then I do think now, you know, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing of like, oh no, it's the corporations that are polluting so much. And then I feel like people might have fallen off their individualistic parts of then also like, no, it's okay if you keep still like reducing your trash output, as well as like recognizing that corporations are the biggest polluters and trash makers. So hopefully, again, Pluto Aquarius maybe brings that in, and also just our Mars, you know, challenging ourselves feels very on the Mars note.
Yeah. This also made me think of this quote, and I guess we can just get into it if we're there, about just kind of like the description of Mars from this, as we were talking about Mars signs today. And in our planetary exploration, my main source has been Mythic Astrology, Archetypal Powers in the Horoscope by Ariel Gutman and Kenneth Johnson. And this quote from Mars was kind of where I thought, I liked the way that this was said, that Mars in the horoscope represents the more motivating force or energetic level through which one is impelled to act. And I think that was reminding me, I was impelled to look up Gwyneth Paltrow's natal chart and see where her Mars was.
Oh, yeah, where's she operating from?
It's in Virgo, late degree, 28 degrees 5 minutes. But she still has this, is Pluto in Libra too? Yeah, she's got this Sun, Pluto, Mercury, Uranus all in Libra. But I do think that I was surprised by that. I thought Mars was also in Libra, and that was going to make sense to kind of, you know, keep things balanced and harmonious and stuff. But I do also think that Virgo Mars compartmentalizing very literally all of this stuff and keeping things where they're supposed to be, and also motivated to keep things orderly and organized and efficient at the cost of aesthetics or whatever, like, or not, but not at the cost of aesthetics, is a very Goop ethos.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, those salads are not gonna spill. You're not gonna, like, no matter what you do, you turn it upside down and come back, and like it's still all in the same.
And Lord knows this is the only nice thing you've done for yourself all day. If you are a Goop girly, you need this salad. You need every drop of that dressing. It's all you've calorically allowed yourself to eat, probably. But no, but I guess my opening question for us in Mars signs is this, you know, with this quote in mind, the motivating force or energetic level through which one is impelled to act. How do you feel that comes out through your Mars? Is it like this just made me think of kind of the quality of energy? How is it, what's the intensity like? Do you feel like it is through the element in which your Mars is that you feel called to act? Yeah, or anything that comes up. I don't want to I don't want to ask leading questions too much, but just whatever that makes you think.
How does like the Mars maybe come out or display itself or function? And I have our charts too. I can share us. I know we looked at in for the other signs. If we want to see also what's at play.
I don't know about Mars and how I feel compelled to act or driven. I think this is one placement I have a tough time like accessing it. It has a lot of square aspects in my chart too.
Can I share?
Sure.
Let's do a little. This is a great time to watch us on YouTube where you can see the visuals of charts and screen shares and all that jazz. So we have Lisa's chart up, and we've been looking at our charts on our art charts episodes and also about the various signs and placements. So we got, a very prominent Mars up here in Aquarius.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I am quick to like want to feel something in my body. Like I think that when I'm stressed or like, as my face is showing right now,
yes,
I do like, I just want to like go hit that yoga class or go swim or go like do something to get my body like hot and like get stuff out of my mind a little bit. So maybe that indicates that like my mind, the Aquarius part like is going quickly and like I'm not able to quite access it. I think another way that I do feel compelled to act is often through because I'm not like a leader. I'm not like like a super strong, like I'm thinking of Big Brother. Like I'm not like a competition beast. Like I feel the way that I act
is that what they call it themselves?
Yeah, like if you're really good at comps, like you'd be a comp beast. Like you're,
oh my god,
if you can like hold on to a wall for 16 hours or whatever to like something, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like any of them, like bowling or whatever, all the things they have to do. Like if I was there, like that wouldn't be my strategy. I know that about myself. I'm not gonna like win one of those. So I guess it is through like the more Aquarian things of like logic and talking and like making social connection and being like trying to be funny and weird and like say it out loud, I guess, are the like Aquarian parts.
Yeah. I feel like you're very good at expressing like, I don't know if anger is the right word, but like through writing and through communicating in that way. That stood out to me thinking of this question of going like, oh yeah, I feel like I want Lisa to help me write a strongly worded email in a like where I need to get something where I need to be both like clear, but I also want like when I want something or I want to communicate something, not just like, oh, I want to pop off and be mean for no reason.
Well, I do that.
Like, I mean, hey, we all do, but the like, yes. I like that. Again, the motivating aspect of Mars coming through of the like, yeah.
I feel like my writing and stand-up for a long time has been more focused on like, women's stuff and relationships and like those are the things that matter to me and those are things that I think like need to be leveled out. And so those are reasons that I chose to communicate on those topics. And like now I think I'm moving more into the fifth house where I'm like, I'm ready to talk about fun and like those kind of things more. But I do think like, what drove me to stage to begin with was probably more of the like, hey, like there need to be more women in comedy. Like I want to talk about stuff that women relate to and like those kind of things.
Yeah.
Does what's up with Jupiter and Pluto? I mean, you mentioned the squares earlier. What do you think those squares from those planets do to Mars for you? Or has there been like living examples of it?
I mean, I can't necessarily like think of exact examples right now, but I do think, like I said, like I get overwhelmed in my head, then I'm like, I need to go get out of it. It's like I can't do both at once, if that makes sense. Like I can't always be, I can't be like, I'm in a rebirth place. I need to like, I'm starting over. Like I can't be super visible 10th house Mars during those times.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's like
same with like Jupiter and like I think of like partying and socialization. Like when I'm about to go on stage, say like I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking weed, I'm not like doing any of the things that I do when I am trying to have fun or relax. I'm not accessing my 12th house in those moments. I'm not like, a lot of people like certain comics have like prayer circles before they go up or they do like I'm not that person. I don't necessarily want to be social either. Like afterwards, sure, but like at the same time when I'm like practicing those, I guess like for me the more Mars and Mercury things, like I'm not able to do those at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Hell yeah.
Stevie,
thoughts?
Let me I'll bring up my guy, my old mate. Where the hell is this? One sec. Is this it? Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say I had another one. I had another thing, but we have your
go for it.
I was gonna say it's also like maybe getting ahead of myself that I think that it's interesting that Lisa has aspects to Pluto and Jupiter because both of those also in the mythic sense are related to Mars in these ways. And so I was just going to say it's a powerful Mars, or it's like it makes sense that it's a hard one to access because I think that a lot of the Martian energy, Jupiter wanting to expand and be kind of fun and outgoing and all of that sort of thing, but Mars mythically is the son of Jupiter and Juno, at least, or in Greek mythology, Ares is the son of Jupiter and Juno, but everybody fucking hated Ares. They were like, "You're an asshole. You you ruin all of the parties.
Bro, you're aggro."
Whoa! It was just like a dating website.
Yes, exactly. And they literally say in this book, Mythic Astrology, he was the legitimate son. But his parents said that both of his parents hated him. Everybody had nothing but terrible things to say about Ares in Greek mythology. Then we get to Roman mythology, and everybody loves Mars because Romans love war. And we see that this is, Mars is second to Jupiter in Roman mythology. And another just like fun fact, Mars. The month of March is named for Mars because it's the time when war can start again because it's springtime and the troops can go back out. Which I was like, oh, great. Love it. But son of Jupiter. So obviously there's, that Mars square to me makes sense too, of like going like, hey, don't come crying to me. You're the one who loves war for war's sake. What did you think? Everyone was going to like you because you're fighting them and killing them and whatever. So that square to Jupiter stood out. And then there's some other mythology, not Greek or Roman, but Babylonian, that ties the Mars god Nergal to the underworld, to Pluto. And we also see this, I have notes about this for, I think later in there, but this Mars, Sun, Pluto, which I think we brought up in the Sun episode of the Sun being exalted in Aries, having that kind of martial quality, but also this kind of like punishing midday death, decay, noontime sun energy, also being kind of underworldly, deadly, so to speak, too, and having that kind of Plutonian aspect. But also when these things are, so when they're full force, they are destructive and punishing, and nothing can kind of thrive there. But when they are alchemized in such a way, that also is like a really powerful group of things for transformation, for getting things done, for moving forward, for asserting one's will and purpose and drive. It just depends on what that kind of drive is.
Well, I associate Mars and Pluto together in the sign of Scorpio anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I think those two things can affect each other in a positive way. The Jupiter is the one I think that kind of puts me out of. I think when I'm in Jupiter, I'm in Jupiter. I don't think I am in Mars at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can't grow and cut something at the same time. It's very have your cake and eat it too, kind of sorts of things.
Let's get that chart.
I know, it's like Stevie.
just on that mythology thing, it was interesting seeing for the Roman stuff since I saw the same thing of like Aries being liked. And also I think so much of Aries stuff in other various mythologies was that quickness and fighty, and talking in the Roman sense of it being really strategic and not and striking at the right time. And I think Mars gets a lot of that impulse stuff, but also it's like, it's knowing when to talk to someone, like, May, they're on the best mood. Like, I'm going to like, wait a like, it's just that knowing the timing as well. And like when to
well, they do say in Greek mythology, Aries was not cool and collected and methodical. They just were popping off and kind of killing at will, and war for war's sake, not so much for a purpose driven thing, which again, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Oh my God.
It just made me think too of this idea of how certain cultures do ascribe a certain noble motivation to war and to fighting for a cause, for country, this sort of thing. Anyways.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's my Cancer Mars conjunct Chiron, squaring the moon in mutual reception with Aries, opposition from Uranus, trine to the North Node, and sextile to the South Node. So I'm getting a lot of Mars stuff. I mean, I'm ruled by a moon ruled Mars. So like I was born on Mars Day. Like I think about Mars a lot. And I mean, how it shows is like Cancer Mars is, when I first started studying astrology, it's not in a happy place in Cancer. So like, so much poo poo, but I'm an Aries moon. I'm in mutual reception with this Mars. So I think I am blessed with a little more strength in it. And, I mean, I'm very sleep motivated and very, pleasure and reward. And like, I'm very, I want to be adored, and I will tell you to adore me. Like I want to have like connection. And I think Chiron has been like, I share this Mars placement with my mom. And I think we've bonded quite a lot on our being the strong women in our family who people don't like. And so we tell it like it is. I think Cancer Mars I think it's seen as negative because I think I think people are surprised that I will pop off back. It's like, oh, I thought there's I'm Cancer rising, like, oh, I think I'm going to just give you this. And it's like, no. But I think in terms of motivation, like, I don't know. I think I am really comfort minded. Like I'm a Taurus still, at the end of the day. My son's not sextiling this Cancer placement by degree, but by sign too. So like there's support also to like my sun and Venus with, it likes this sign, So I don't know. I haven't thought much about the Uranus opposition. Now that's kind of feeling like a fresh aspect that's interesting to me. But yeah, I think in terms of motivation, like I feel like I think people see, and probably similar maybe with you, Lisa, like moon midheaven, like, oh, you care so much about career and work. And I'm like, I mean, I care that I want vacations and like a life and to do my own thing and not be micromanaged and have independence. So like, no, it's like not, for me, it's not as much my identity, or like it gets wrapped in that identity, but also maybe that's like the thing I'm learning in this lifetime, that I can't have that be more leaned into my identity or what I share to others. So I don't know, this square, I think, to the moon, of course, like, I'm a baby, like I cry, I've been getting less red throughout the years. I don't know if that's just Dr. Jart's green cream or just taking a beat with my feelings before I like strike. But yeah, like they definitely, this is a cranky baby sometimes, but aren't we all?
I get red too.
Yeah, the Mars, strong Mars, I think can like make you like I'm a steamed crab. Like you can see when I'm pissed.
I think that with you, like one thing I think people think, I think you're a good example of like it's not actually like this. One thing people think about Cancer is that they're like passive aggressive, and I find that you're very direct. Like I'm
just really regular aggressive.
Well, like, I wouldn't say it's aggressive, but I haven't been on the receiving end like of, and in the way we communicate is not probably about those types of heated things or whatever. But like I would say that you're very direct. I think that your communication skills, which is not necessarily a Mars thing, but it's like even like communicating your feelings and stuff with the moon aspect, I would say that you're extremely direct. I don't find that you're beating around bushes or saying like, maybe. Like, I think like, I consider myself direct, and I even do that more than you, I would say. Like, I think people think that Cancer placements mean that you're like kind of wanting people to wish for like your answer or something like that. And I don't find that with you at all.
Yeah, my last fight with my partner was about like, I thought that was inferred was something he said. And I was like, that's the worst thing you can ever say. Like, no, I don't read your mind, not, I think too, Cancer's being the first water sign. I don't think it gets, I think those things of like passive aggressiveness or reading your mind, I think are for Scorpios and Pisces. Sorry. I think it's for like the later water signs. I think Cancer, anytime I meet like a wild chick, it's like they're always a Cancer. Like, I think that there's a lot more young playfulness in Cancer that like, I think people assign this mommy take care of this for me role, which is what we talk about with Cancer. And I don't think they want that a lot of the time, even though I'm sure there's lessons of learning that. But I also like, I think the Aries moon helps. I don't think this is going to be all Cancer Mars case. And I do think, I mean, this is 12th house Chiron Mars together. Like, it feels very like there's like a compelled, like I have to say these things.
One of the things that was brought up in Mythic Astrology, and I believe we've referenced this before, but the Goklan research on astrology, like what are common placements for people who have excelled in certain fields and things like that. We saw Michelle Goklan on that UAC documentary briefly talking about his research. But one of the things that they found with Mars is, which was not surprising that many successful military and athletic people had prominent Marses, but what was surprising to them was that often these Marses were found in the 9th or 12th house, which didn't seem very martial right away. But once again, mythologically speaking, the 9th and 12th house are Jupiter's domains traditionally, and thinking about those things being kind of then like expanded and vaulted, but also having 12th house specifically being a place where people are motivated by beliefs and strongly held convictions or things like that too, where it's like, if Mars is not like if there isn't something like strong enough to make it go, I feel like it's like hard, it is a hard one to turn on its own or whatever. Like, there has got to be this kind of underlying something going for it. So it makes sense, again, this 12th house, not only because you have the moon in mutual reception, but when I read this quote, I was like, oh, this is so interesting, thinking about our Marses.
Yeah. And then it's trining the 9th house north node, and that you just saying that made me think like, it's like and I think it comes in with human design being a projector as well. It's like boredom and resentment is like my cue to change something or go somewhere else. And I think that feels really north node connected as well, since they're there together. Like, okay, yeah, if I can't just keep doing the same stuff, like I need to switch it up. And I think there's that cardinal also, coming in the mode out, like that, like cardinal influence to this mutable north node, like, let's go somewhere else, like let's try something new, or bring in some essence of like that motivating. Oh, that's interesting. I want to know about this for like other,
I know,
thinking about these like house amplifications versus like where we traditionally think of.
Yes, because we think about the signs, and they were like, it's not so much about the signs, but where they are for these people, because they might not have the strongest, quote unquote strongest Mars, but a Mars in the 9th or 12th could then also all of a sudden become a war hero. Like,
Yeah,
I wonder too, because I almost said a problematic astrology opinion, and then Stevie, not that it's problematic, saying that the Scorpio and Pisces deserve the more backhanded sort of thing.
They're the little more read my mind water signs, and I don't think Cancer Cancer can, but maybe not as much.
I wonder if there's anything that your Mars brings up, because I almost said, and then I was like, don't say it, but because I have Mars Aquarius, and I think Aquarians are kind of thin-skinned. And so I do feel like a lot of the time, like I have feedback isn't my strength. Like it's something I work on, you know, and that's in my 10th house too of like, you know, if there's like, obviously like I know when a joke doesn't work because people don't laugh or whatever. Sometimes I take it harder than I let on. Julia, is there anything that, answer your question, but also is there anything that your Mars brings out in you where you're like, oh, I think this sign, blah, 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 or other signs of this?
And I'll share Julia's chart while we
well, I agree.
0 degrees, baby.
0 degrees. 0 degrees. I mean, mostly besides this out of sign trine to Chiron, also mostly unaspected, which is psychotic. But I also think that totally fits because I was thinking when you were talking about this Big Brother comp beast kind of thing that I am not like an oppositional competitive person in the sense that like I've taken literal fighting classes and things like that, and I don't like fighting an opponent, but what that made me think of is like in dance class there would be things where it would be like, all right, let's see who can like hold this plank the longest at the end of class. And I'm like, okay, I'm not always going to be the person that holds the plank the longest, but there are times when I'm like, I'm going to hold a plank longer than this person or whatever. I'm going to choose a point that I want to go to. And then once I get to that point, I can kind of decide if I want to keep going or not. But I am very like, I think I'm very self-motivated in both the like, you know, my own will, I want my will to be done. Like whether I'm expressing that or not, I have thoughts about how things are supposed to go. And sometimes I'm not always conscious about wanting to like enforce that. But I think that I also have a lot of feelings about like, oh no, I can outstand, I can push myself against the wall if I need to. And it's like not for good, not always for things that I should be using that willpower for, but also knowing that I have like insane staying power, I guess is the way to say it.
I think and obviously sorry to make this a Big Brother podcast, but like I think that with what you're saying is, I think Aquarius and Scorpio are similar in a lot of ways. And I think for me, I see like I could definitely hold on longer than, you know, I'm not gonna be the first one to drop, that's for sure. But like at the end of the day, for me, I see it as more of a strategic thing. Yes. Where it's like I'm playing strategy game where I'm like, I don't want it to look like I'm not trying or that I'm not a part of whatever the house or whatever the, you know, example is. But I also am self-aware to the point where I know that that's not the way I win matches or whatever. I know that like I have to know that in order to get through.
Yes, I agree. Cause I was just going to say, I guess to the passive aggressive tip, or the like read my mind is that like, I don't want you to think that I think I am the strongest or this thing, or I don't want to come in and say, hey, I don't want to be like boastful about it and go, I'm going to hold a plank the longest out of anybody. I just want to do it. And I don't want the expectation, and I don't want the failure if I don't do it. And I think this trying to Chiron is making a lot more sense to me when I do that too, of it being like there is something that's like, as soon as you say it aloud, now it is no longer a like, an internal personal best goal. Now it's an external expectation, and that I don't like as much. That is now out of my like
well,
not possibility, but it's that like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. In Big Brother, it's also about you being a target. So like you don't want everyone to think like, oh, Julia's the strongest, so put more on her, or like, all right, now you try it with a book on your back. Like now you plank with a book on your back. Like you don't want to have to do that. And so it's like, I do think it's a Chiron aspect too of like, well, I don't want to like get hurt or be wounded. I don't want people to like see me as a threat, but I want to be strong and I want to show myself and others that I am, kind of thing, maybe.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's Chiron and Gemini, and that feels very Mars and Scorpio feels very show, and Chiron, the don't tell. I mean, I remember that from like college being like, who here is like starting photography school, like here's photo background, I'm like, I've done this and I've done that. And then you're like, not as good as other people. And you're like, I should have fucking just acted like I've kind of done it. Or like, just like overhyping the performance is a danger to all of us. But also, I think reminded in the chart here of, especially in this like ninth house kind of like ideals, and like the first house kind of being about it, and just like living it and showing it in how maybe you show up on a day-to-day basis.
Do you find that the opposite works for you too? Like, I like what Stevie's saying about like, you don't want to go in and be like, I'm the greatest or whatever. But do you find that internally that works for you to be like, I do have, like, say in Stevie's photo example, not to say it out loud, but to internally be like, I can do this. I do have photo experience. Like, my teacher doesn't need to know, but like, does that give you strength? Or
I don't know. I don't know if that's like, I guess so. I don't know if it's like a conscious necessarily like conversation, but there are times, I guess, when I go like, I'm thinking of stand up now, when if someone else is like, oh, that's a really tough audience or something like that, I'll go like, I heard your set, I heard the audience, I think I got this. Or like that kind of thing. Or going like, oh, I actually don't subscribe to that same sort of thing. But I don't know if I use the tactic of like, I think there always has to be some kind of, and again, maybe it's this Chiron, this is really triggering a lot for me of going like, oh yeah, I think there is like a part of me that feels like I have to always be like, you don't know anything, you're coming in blank slate, number one. Like, anytime you think that you know something or you think that you've got it going, then that's when you aren't able to do something. But so if it's just kind of this unchecked just like going for it kind of thing, but that's also not true, because obviously it's like, I don't go up on do a new set every time I do stand up. I know I'm doing something, I know I've written things, I know like it is, but I think it's the verbalization, it's the acknowledgement of it. It's more like if you keep it like, I don't know,
like Murphy's Law type of thing. Yeah, I think that's the nature of stand-up itself in some ways. Like, a lot of the time, when I like even get anxiety, or someone says something like about the crowd or whatever that makes you a little bit like, ugh, or like, say I'm going up at like somewhere I respect the club and I really want to do well, is like, for me, often just having to be like, well, it's not like you're gonna write a new joke right now, you just have to go up and you have what you have, you can't like, so
yeah, I guess it is thinking differently about, are you doing this because you're scared, or are you like, where are your motivations coming from? And I think this like Mars trine Chiron thought of going like, yeah, if you aren't acknowledging when you're nervous or scared about something or really wanting to do well, that is going to be where your motivation is coming from. So be really clear, and at least like acknowledge to yourself like, oh, I really want people to like me at this show, or I'm really scared that I'm going to do bad and be embarrassed, or what. I really don't want to be embarrassed right now.
I think Chiron can be so often like that tiny voice that's like, don't, or like, you suck, or like, especially with Gemini, it's like, enough people have had this idea or opinion or whatever, or like, I see it sometimes for folks with like, who like want to write a book or like have something they want to share, like have ideas. And I think this ninth first house connection, I like wrote this down because it just felt like a gut instinct, is like, it feels like such an invitation to share the secrets of the universe with people, or even like things that about yourself that are really like more universal, like kind of in a ninth house way. I think Chiron is like such a tricky little bitch, but like when used, it's like sort of like North Node stuff. I feel like it can be such a like, oh fuck, that's the secret sauce. Anyway, it's just a thought. And the Chiron-y stuff, because it's encouraged with the trine is like, it's like the line of communication is like, do it, like yes, let's go.
Well, I love this too, because it is, again, going back to this book, a further quote of just like, Mars is an energy which in its primal state is without a sense of direction, but when linked with a strong sense of purpose, it can accomplish all things. That's where we get again, thus the planet of purposeful direction, the sun, is exalted in a sign ruled by Mars, while Mars itself is exalted in Capricorn, a sign ruled by Saturn, symbol of discipline. When the raw energy of Mars is controlled by conscious purpose, when it is subject to the sun, the symbol of self, balance, and the explosive power of Mars can move mountains. And just thinking of these things of like knowing the Jupiter, the sun, and the Saturn, all thinking of Mars being again this just kind of like powerhouse thing that does need direction. And the more we can be conscious of what our Mars is, who might be directing our Mars, then we can maybe go like, oh, actually I think you would do better under like this tutelage than this one. Or like knowing, hey, I know that you guys like have a thing, thinking of that Chiron, thinking of just any I love that.
I think Jessica Davidson's was talking another like about the myths of Mars, and just echoing on the sun stuff. It's like Mars is, this is a quote from hers, like Mars is the fighting principle of the sun. It helps you fight for yourself, give context for the reason for your fight. So I think too, if Mars is like, for anyone listening, like a place of like, what is this? Like, I think looking to your sun too. I mean, of course, the planet that is ruling Mars, but also like how does the Mars serve the sun? Like this paragraph quote also talked about it being used for individuation, like how are we accessing, our driving force for sun? I don't know. I thought it was cool. I never thought about Mars really being kind of like, I'm here to help you, king. Like I am your mere servant, son. Like, let's go get this solar bread together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we go through the signs
quick? Let's go through.
Yes. And maybe Mars challenge, because I know we're on a timeline. Maybe like like knee-jerk reaction, very Mars. We're back on WikiHow, the world's first go-to place for all astrology knowledge and research.
Our most ancient astrological resource.
An ancient ephemeris known as WikiHow. And we're going through the Mars signs. They're very cute. Just a heads up if you want to be watching this on YouTube, youtube.com/What's Your Sign podcast. But there's a little recap of like, Mars, if we didn't touch on it before, too, sexuality, passion. Mars is the blood. So like think of like what is getting your blood pumping is going to be very Mars. Drive, energy, sexuality. There's cute little Mars guy. Very quiet.
I like that once again, blood pumping though too, because a lot of those things are ones that we are not these are processes that we are not conscious of. Our heart beats, whether we, it pumps, it gets, we don't know what always raises our blood pressure. So the more we can be clear about that.
I think we talked about this on a Patreon recently too, like the Mars difference of Aries and Scorpio too, the influence of maybe aggression and rawness with Aries, and then Scorpio more of the intensity, emotionality, the depth. Fabulous. So Mars and Aries, I'll just read their little quote. You're impulsive and you chase after anything new in the bedroom. You like to get straight to the action. I mean, honestly, every Mars and Aries, I know this checks out. So like I've yet to meet one that it's like not true. I've met some Marys. This is a good reminder. Mars retrograde, though. That's the only time I've met some Aries Mars or Mars people in general. When it's natally retrograde, that's a twist on the Mars. So also check what station your Mars is in your chart as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's like this warrior, and I think Mars is also kind of regeneration in some ways too. And so I think they're really quick to, I don't know, just like they can take charge, but also like if you tell them, hey, stop, like they're okay to just you're not gonna ask questions, move forward, apologize, keep, all of that kind of thing.
Keeping it moving, it sounds like with Aries Mars.
Yeah, I think that's the same. I mean, get straight to the action to me is very, not necessarily, obviously they are meaning this in a sexual context, but I think that fits for what you're saying too, Lisa, even of being like, yeah, you like it or you don't, let's move on. Let's not like beat around the bush about any of it.
Totally. Mars and Taurus, cute little bull hair. Taurus will make you slow down and steady in the bedroom. You like to take your time and focusing on savoring every moment. And Taurus is happy in Mars if I'm my like
I mean, it's
part.
traditionally it would be in fall since Scorpio would be ruled by Mars.
I don't know where I'm mixing this.
But I don't think it is. I don't think it actually is unhappy there. I think it just is. It's the speed, the speed aspect of it. That this is a slow and steady. This is a we are thinking about our actions, so it is not again like a knife slicing through something. I'm imagining the like farm tools kind of like slowly, methodically making lines in a field to plant things that is like for a purpose. We're not like just, I don't know, slicing open the earth.
This is what I mixed up. It's traditionally, detriment of Mars, but modernly we've updated to Pluto. So I think that's why I was off my radar, but still good to know.
I think that the trap for this Mars is being concerned with winning. And I think since it's in a fixed sign, it's like that digging your heels in to not have like kind of the opposite of what I said about Aries, where it's like, oh, just apologize, move forward, like keep going. It's like this one wants to win, and that is in competition. That's great. But like sometimes you have to, recede and say like, you're the better fighter than me or whatever.
Kind of like the Taurus Mars people I know are so like anti-competition, but maybe I think it's because secretly inside it's scary to compete.
It's because they want to win, or because they've had. I know I have had like yelled at people over board games and stuff where it's like you don't want to be embarrassed, so you're just like, I don't want to play.
But is that your Aquarius Mars?
I don't know. I think it's my Taurus. I feel like it's because it's not always in competitive.
I find them so the Taurus Mars natally people are so pleasure minded that like. It's like which is the least for the most like I don't know. I think I've also seen a lot of times Aries people or like I'll see a lot of Taurus in the Aries people, and I think it can slow down that Aries temperament sometimes.
Yes, I think it's the fixed. To me, what stands out is the fixed part of it, which is a like, no, I want to win, so I'm gonna like take the longest looking at my cards at the thing. I want to take all of the time that I want to like do this, but it's like a place where you aren't again like exalted, and so it's like I would rather not get like absolutely roasted for this thing because I want to win and I also want to like feel good too. Do you know what I mean?
It's the curse of like Taurus being the second sign, I think too. There's like a wanting to win, but also like it's fine if I don't like it's like resign. I also want to do second place
exactly the way that I want instead of being able to see an opening and take it or like move. I don't want to move faster than I want to. I want to move at my pace and I want things to go exactly how I want.
Honestly, the bedroom stuff though sounds nice.
Lovely.
Welcome down. We got Mars and Gemini dancing over here. You're quick-witted, smooth talker, but you could be a bit scattered and listless. In the bedroom, you crave novelty and change. Classic keywords we'll hear with Gemini. Do I know any Mars and Gemini people? Oh, well, we had that fucking Gemini Mars retrograde for so long that I feel like I know some, but that was a nice time. I don't know. I do feel like this is great. Oh yeah, I do know some. Great for writing, great for creativity. I feel like this is like the get the work done focus sort of Mars sign.
I think editing too, like anything where you have to do drafts like a couple times kind of thing. But I also find maybe like a tennis racquetball, like something where it's like a back and forth. They might be really interested in that jousting, like actual like one-on-one type basketball one-on-one.
Yeah.
This is very like get you fired up but not take you to the finish line energy to me necessarily, where it's like the like saying the thing, this is good like brainstorming energy, but not necessarily like we're on a deadline and we need to focus kind of.
Yeah, good collaborator. Naturally, of course, with the gem. Mars in Cancer, shut out. You might struggle to find the right path in the bed. Okay,
find the right path. Period.
I think period. I thought in the bedroom. I was like, oh, you might struggle to find the right path. Period. In the bedroom, you're always down for foreplay and deep emotional connection. I mean, true. I mean, what's a right path? See, that's the Cancer Mars then question. What the right path is the one you choose, and then you learn as you go along. I think Cancer Mars is like down to like mess up in some ways. It's just like, yeah, of course, life is gonna have ebbs and flows of good and bad and sexy and not so sexy. So I don't know. Maybe it's the lunar aspect as well. It's like you're not catching a Cancer placement person they're going to be different every day anyways. So what is life? But at least I get to wear a crab on the top of my Martian head. And yes, to foreplay, of course, obviously.
I think the quote unquote right path here, we are getting the influence from the Mars being exalted in Capricorn, which is that discipline to stay the course, as opposed to this Mars in Cancer, which is going to be called detrimental because it is openly emotionally motivated. So I think it's more, I think to me, the right path comes from saying, be aware when you're in your feelings that's where you're coming from. That's not a bad place to come from, but it might take you in directions that are less direct or less purposeful if we are not aware and if we don't have more I don't know, not consideration, but that thing of like making sure that we're coming from a place of vulnerability, not passive aggressiveness, not
maybe too emotionally guided sometimes.
Yeah. Or like it can be unclear. Again, that thing of going like, oh, I said this thing about this, but what I'm really mad about is this. But it's like, well, now you started a fire over here and no one cares about the thing that you're really mad about. So you didn't get either one.
Totally.
I find it interesting because I think when I always think of Cancer, I've been thinking of a crab on land, and like underwater, they're kind of like more still and they don't, they are a little bit more methodical. And like, because now I'm thinking of like the moon and like the waves and stuff, because you don't know which way stuff's going to go. You can't always just like start moving. I don't know.
Totally. Leo, you like to take charge and get after what you want. In the bedroom, you don't mind being a little dominant and a little playful. And Mars and Leo just sounds, after all this talk about the sun, like sexy ass placement you got there. It seems just like very, in the best of ways, self-motivated. But I've also seen Leo Mars be very selfish sometimes. I think Aries gets the rap for selfish, but Leo can be very generous when they want to. But man, they can also be, sometimes we got to be selfish, but Leo Mars really knows how to do it sometimes.
All I'm getting is like heated.
Yeah.
It's like Mars and the sun, like heated, like in a good way and a bad way,
I think this one is one that can definitely take things personally.
Yes. Ego.
But also, again, in the best way possible, where it's like feeling personally called, feeling passionately motivated by things that are important to them and that they take their work on, very personally. But I think, again, we're talking about a fixed Mars, which is a little bit like, you want it how you want it. And that's not always, again, I think Mars is at its best when it can kind of see an opening and take it sometimes. And that doesn't feel Leo Mars to me.
I feel like in the bedroom, you're going to have to like worship them a bit. Maybe they want to be the worshiper, but I feel like they'll want the worshiping for themselves. Virgo, perched upon Mars, you like to be planned and productive. And in bed, you make sure your partner's having a good time. Well, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely opposite coming off of Leo Mars is like, actually, this is all about the other person, which makes sense. Yes. Virgo is our sign of service. I'm surrounded by Virgo Mars people. They're great on a team. Like they think about actually how something gets finished. And I think the mutability also is, I think like our other Mercury sign, Gemini, really good collaborator.
Gwyneth.
Gwen. Mars and Goop.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, no notes.
No, they prefer it that way. They're like, please, no critiques. Just give us love. Mars and Libra. Well, that is adorable. Little scales on the planet Mars. You might find it hard to express how you really feel. In bed, you like to keep things romantic and sweet rather than being too passionate and fiery. Mars is not happy in Libra. Another fallen soldier over here. But there's so many, I think we talked about this. I can't remember maybe a Libra based episode. There's so many politicians with this sign. And I think, yeah, I guess it is detrimental that you would want to like weigh all sides and like care about how other people are, coming into a situation. So yeah, I think maybe a little self-sacrificing could be something that comes up with Libra Mars, but I think I've like adored every Libra Mars natal person I think I've ever met. I'm just like, oh, it's like they could give you bad news very sweetly.
Well, thinking about that opening quote about what are you motivated by, and you're motivated to like make sure as many people as possible are happy, making sure that you are, or that you are beloved, or whatever that is, which I think, again, politics is not a particularly martial realm. It's a very Venusian Jupiterian realm. So I think that makes sense that there's a lot of politicians that have Mars and Libra. And I think also this illustration, while very cute, what it just made me think of first and foremost is that like it's hard for Mars to move fast when it has all of this big headpiece on, and thinking of someone coming out hosting a party or that sort of thing too, where it's like you kind of can't move the way that you want to because you're holding plates, or someone's talking to you here and you're talking there. Like your energy is scattered when there is multiple places that you are trying to put it. And so that's not bad. It doesn't mean that it's not working, but when we have multiple motivations, it's harder to like stab something with two hands, I'm doing a lot of motions, but like
they're carrying a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's not the strongest punch, but it knows who has the weak ankle or the weak wrist. It's like that research oriented like response Mars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They read the room. They're aware of like where people are high and low. Mars and Scorpio, decorative Scorpio headpiece. Well, a little lighter weight than the Libra in this image. You cut through life with total control and sharp focus. In bed, you're into sweet sex and intense emotional bonding.
Talk about bonding, am I right?
It's funny the sweetness being brought up because I feel like Scorpio doesn't usually get that, but I think Scorpio, the flip of Taurus, is quite romantic and like does want to, we joke of the melding souls, right, with Scorpio. I think it's a really, it just feels like maybe a bit softer of that Aries Mars qualities. Like I think directness and getting to it is the goal, but also Scorpio does like a bit of the mystery. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I feel like it's the one place where you are letting your defenses down, and it almost feels like it's like, this is not the battlefield. This is not where this is where you have only reached this point because you've like passed all of the tests and done all of the things. I know I might be using some problematic language in that way, but like do you know what I'm saying? There's something.
Aries is like offense and Scorpio is like defense.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, oh no, defenses are down. This is a place where I'm being receptive and this, so let's honor that. This is not the place to like pull punches.
Toads. Sag? Shout.
Yeah.
Mars and Sag, you're a jet setter, a go-getter. Cute. In bed, you like to experiment with your partner. I think for anyone with Sagittarius Mars, I think maybe which comes up a lot with Sag is like the idea might feel bigger, like it might get overwhelming. So I think this is a good reminder to just try things for yourself. I think Sag learns by doing. So maybe go see it for yourself, or like get out of like your normal home day-to-day space in order to maybe feel that motivation if you're feeling a little stuck.
I say this one is pointed. It has a goal. It wants to, it has something in mind.
Yes. A target.
Yeah. I think this is also a very enthusiastic Mars.
Totally.
And kind of like down.
Yeah. Very down. I feel like even like maybe mundane things might be like exciting to them. Like,
yeah.
Like, oh my God, we're going to breakfast.
Optimistic.
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's like, again, I think in that, like the way that you're talking about Cancer, about like being willing to fail and that sort of thing too. I think that's very Mars and Sag of going like, well, let's try it. Why not?
I have another arrow. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, we can fail upward versus Cancer is like, I think it's going down, but Mars in Capricorn, you prefer to start out with a plan and break down big projects into smaller milestones. Oh, I like That's interesting to think with Cap. And in bed, you like to explore different kinds of pleasure. Caps are freaks. That is for sure. They're this, like Virgos, I think the secret sexy, horny freaks of horny goat weed, if you will. But yeah, I mean, Capricorn Mars is, they're going to do it and they're going to do it right. And you better be stepping up like they are.
I don't think they want to be told what to do.
No. Yeah. No, they're the lead. Like, and I think that's hard with Cap placements, that leader, delegator, like people look to you because I think sometimes that's like, what, me? But doesn't mean you have to do all the work. I think they're really great at knowing where, I like this big project, smaller milestones. It's like knowing who to commission for, like, oh, I need good art. I'm going to hire this person and I'm good at this. And like seeing the kind of team plan played out.
I think they like to know where they're going. And I think that makes sense with this breaking down into smaller milestones to go, okay, here's where I'm at, to be able to both know where they're going, but also know how far they've come and how much further is left. So they can kind of judge in that sort of thing too. And I think that fits with exploring different kinds of pleasure too, of going like, oh, I want to have a frame of reference for anything I'm encountering, not because I necessarily want to like do everything or I'm into everything, but I don't want to be like caught not knowing.
Hell yeah. Mars and Aquarius. You think big in order to pursue future-oriented goals that can help out as many people as possible. You prefer platonic relationships to romantic ones. Got this little Wabber girl dumping it out, which we don't always see. Sometimes they're just holding the base.
Yeah. Did they just say that I'm asexual? They gave me nothing. They didn't even say in the bedroom.
I know.
Fuck you, WikiHow. I mean, also, if you're asexual, that's totally okay. I didn't mean to feel like attacking. But I don't know that I'm trying to help out. I'm trying to help myself right now. I don't know about as many people, but I do want all of the listeners of this podcast to get something out of it. So I guess maybe it's true.
You led the first convo of like how we're polluting our planet. Like that felt very like Mars and Aquarius, like the big picture sort of stuff. I think Aquarius Mars is like, I see them as like very innovative. Like they're thinking big, like, I don't know, like, oh, you bring up this. It's like, that makes me think of all of this. And I think probably because they are, I like this little at the end of this to come back to the sex.
It like, still didn't say anything about sex until you find someone who gets your personality. It still didn't say anything. Like, all right, fine. I'm not going to give you any secrets, WikiHow.
That's why
figuring out the Aquarius Mars.
If you're an Aquarius Mars listening, comment on our post about how you are.
Finish this sentence in the bedroom, comma.
Shall we end with Mars and Pisces? You're compassionate, gentle, and empathetic in bed. They really did skip Aquarius.
They really did. It's so unknowable. They couldn't figure it out.
Whoever wrote this WikiHow, explain yourself. Also, go off in our comments.
In bed, you're a partner who aims to please, but you also love deep spiritual pillow talk.
I love these two fishes just kissing Mars and thinking about
Mars and Pisces is like big pillow princess energy with this image as well. It's like just, I think Pisces is a receiver for sure. They want to receive all the love.
Yeah, I think this Pisces Mars feels very Libra Mars, and to me too of a similar one of going like, do we even have to fight? Can't we? What if fighting didn't even exist?
Right.
And how that is both beautiful and wonderful, but also is like, but sometimes we do have to. So like, come on.
Yeah, the escapism part of Pisces I'm sure lingers in the Mars zone.
Yes, we can't avoid all of those things, or we can't always, whatever, but also we're glad to have your gentle touch.
Yeah. Well, that's them. Shall we close out on some affirmations?
Let's do it. All right. Here's affirmations for Mars signs, and don't laugh. I cut things from my life, surroundings, and self when they're not for my best and highest good. When the going gets tough, I act. I let passion, determination, and drive flow through me. I have unlimited energy to begin again. And leadership, I raise my blade with certainty. I am strength. I am power. I am direct. I am heated, activated, confident to act. I am a warrior. All I do is win, 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 no matter what.
Yes.
Boom. Well,
hell yeah.
Collect your awards, trophies, whatever you need. And yeah, embrace the Mars. We need a Mars. Mars rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.